Привет всем. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm trying new headphones today. Так, just gotta make sure my audio is working. Hello. Seems to be working. So unless I hear from people that it's not working, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I hope I don't have the echo like I had last time. That was very magical sounding. Okay, so today we are going to be doing the word root един, один. And we're going to talk about why there's two different variations in it. Again, if you're watching, please confirm that you can hear me. It's like just take 5 seconds. Just type in the little box that you hear me. Okay. And then we'll get started. Okay, let's see. Okay, so today, instead of having to use my horrible handwriting, I'm going to share my screen and do a PowerPoint. Okay, so 1 second. Let's get that all pulled up. Вот. Okay, there we go. So since nobody responded to me, I just changed my microphone and hope that that works instead. So again, hopefully somebody will let me know in the comments if they can't hear me, and we're going to go and move forward. What? Okay, so let's look at what we're going to be talking about today. Today's root is one of the first words you're going to learn in Russian. Okay? One of the first words you'll learn in Russian, it's the number 1. Один. Один. Все. Очень легко. Вот. Okay, so we're going to go through and start talking about some of the words associated with this root. Here we go. Вот. Okay, so just a quick thing for beginning learners. Yes, we have the number один, like when you're counting, один, два, три, четыре. But be aware that the number один gets genders. So for example, you might say something like у меня один брат и одна сестра. Сестра is feminine, so we change our number 1 to be a feminine, right? Я вижу только одно окно. Я вижу только одно окно. I see only one window. Let's see. There we go. Good. So я вижу только одно окно. I only see one video, for example, or I only see one window. Oh, you guys are, 1 second. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. Share screen. You guys are seeing the wrong thing, so you're going to be very confused by what I'm saying. У меня одни часы. Look at how confusing this is. Часы, a watch, is plural. And so we actually do like a plural version of the number 1, which is like counterintuitive, but that's how you do it. Then also the number 1 gets cases. Я люблю одного человека. I love one person. I love one person. Let's see. I'm just making sure that you guys are seeing what I want you to see. Are you guys seeing my presentation? Can you let me know if you're seeing my presentation? I've never done it like this before where I'm like sharing my whole thing. So let me just confirm with me that you're seeing what I'm saying as it goes. Okay, хорошо. Let's get started. Next slide. Так. So here are some different versions. So as I told you, we have один and then we have един. And there's like, they both mean the same thing. They both mean 1, but один comes from more like old Russian, the language people just spoke in their everyday life. And един comes from their old church Slavonic. So I think I have a previous video where I talk about how you can tell if a word is from Old Church Slavonic versus Old Russian. And this is one of the ways. When you see the number 1 represented by a един, that's Old Church Slavonic. And as I have mentioned in the past, they tend to be, words from Old Church Slavonic tend to be more abstract in meaning. And you're going to really see that here in today's presentation. So here we go. Let's go. It sounds like everybody can see what I'm showing. So for example, we have over here in the Old Russian, or just in Russian, we have один, super straightforward, concrete, nothing fancy about it, versus a noun that comes from this root, единица. Единица, right? Which means, again, let's go more abstract. It means a unit, like a unit, a single unit of something. It can also mean like a fancy way of saying the number 1. It also, for people in school, they don't get A, B, C, D, F in Russia. They get numbers. So пятерка is an A, четверка is a B, двойка is a D, and then единица is a F. So you don't want to be getting единица on your report cards in Russia. Okay, let's look at some adjectives that come from these. Одинокий, одинокий. You might say this about a person. Maybe their spouse just died and they are одиноки. They are lonely. They are lonely. Одинокий. And then let's get a little bit more abstract, right? You can see that a person is lonely. That's pretty easy to grasp. Now this one, единый, means kind of united. It means like single. It means like one. For example, like my parents, if I were to ask them something, they would be like, they would say something like, no, we are one in our decisions. We make all of our decisions together. We are united. We are one. Okay. Next. So from this adjective, we're able to form a noun. And this is, you often see this stvo suffix often translates into English as a word with like ness on the end, N-E-S-S. So if this meant lonely, and then we turn it into a noun, what do you think this one means? Одиночество. Loneliness. 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 Okay, over here, единобожие. This has 2 roots. This one's really fun. Today we're going to have a lot of these compound words where there's actually 2 roots involved. So we've got един, meaning one, and then what's the root here? What do you think? What is the root here? Does this look like anything we've ever seen before? Anything you've ever seen before? Somebody knows that it was my birthday. Uh-oh. Yeah, so now that you guys know that I'm getting older, yes, it was my birthday recently. So good. So what is единобожие? By the way, if you guys have the worksheet, you can follow along. I posted that on the community tab on YouTube. So we're looking at единобожие. I'll come back to it just a second. What? Единобожие. So in here, this root is God. So the fancy word for this, единобожие, is monotheism, believing in only one God, versus the pagans, for example, who had multiple gods that they believed in. So notice how this is a more poetic, more religious, more abstract concept than these words that are coming from the Old Russian word for one. Next, одинаковый. Одинаковый. Одинаковый means like same. They are the same. And we'll practice that in context a little bit later. Over here, we have единственный, единственный, which means like an only or a, yeah, it would, in English, it usually translates as only. So for example, if you're an only child, you would say something like, я единственный ребенок. Я единственная девушка в этой группе. I'm the only girl in this group. I'm an only child. One of my favorite phrases that I say all the time is единственная причина, по которой. So that translates as the only reason, blah, blah, blah. So that's a really great word to use. Now, an interesting thing here is that you can, as I said over here with одиночество, you can also take this adjective and put an ost ending on it, and that's going to also create a ness type of word in English. So this turns into uniqueness. uniqueness. Like something that is one of a kind, peculiarness, uniqueness. And by the way, fun little tip. Whenever these, if you see ost on the end of a word, with the exception of some, gost, for example, they were formed one from an adjective, and two, they're always feminine. Always, always, always feminine. That's a great little tip to know. Okay, so this one would translate as like uniqueness, onlyness, kind of thing. Next. This is a really popular website in Russia. Let's find the two roots in here. What is this website all about? Maybe some of our Russian viewers can tell us. What is this website all about? Одноклассники. Одноклассники. This is a very famous website. It was kind of, I think it existed before Facebook even. And it's essentially, if you're одноклассники, it means you were in the same class together. And in Russia, like you're pretty much with the same people your whole school, all of your schooling, you're with the same people the whole time. So you get really, really close with these people. So одноклассники means, it means that you were classmates essentially. And again, they get very close with each other in Russia. I'm not able to see comments here because my whole screen is sharing. So every once in a while, I'm going to exit out and just make sure I'm not missing any fun little comments that y'all are putting in there. Oh, спасибо. We really missed you. Yes, I'm aware of all the news, trust me, but I'm trying to keep politics out of these live streams because наступит полный капец, бардак, если мы включим политику в эти лайвстрим, поэтому я сдержусь немножко от таких бесед. Здесь мы будем обсуждать великий русский язык. Согласны? Согласитесь, пожалуйста. Вот. Okay, so every once in a while I'll stop and look at these comments and I'll try and keep you in, keep connecting with you. But yes, конечно, здесь на этих лайвстримах я очень не хочу обсуждать политику. Вот. Ну, конечно, я в курсе всех этих текущих событий. Я читаю новости каждый день. Я все знаю. Хорошо. Так, вот. Окей. Да, мне интересно будет потом слышать ваше мнение, но давайте пишите мне, пожалуйста, в email. И мне очень интересно ваше мнение о сейчас текущих событиях, об объявлении Путина вчера. Пишите мне в email collegerussian@gmail.com. Я буду очень рада с вами обсуждать ваше мнение. Хорошо. Back to наши однокоренные слова, our root words. Вот. Назад. Вот сюда. Так. Окей. То есть. Потом у нас есть одноклассники. О! Okay, so this is actually going to get political, but we won't talk about the politics behind it. This is a fun adjective. Однозначный, and this is all over in the news right now. When you're trying to find out what is happening in the world, there is a famous meme going around that we'll get to in just a second. Однозначный, it doesn't perfectly translate into English, but let's look. There's two roots happening here. So see if you can identify what are the two roots. We've got одна, meaning one. Then we have знать. Where have we heard a word like that before? Что значит? Значит. So this literally, if you took it apart, it would literally mean one meaning. However, it doesn't translate perfectly into English. Instead, in English, we might say something like clear cut, black and white, and I'll show you a meme and we'll practice translating it right there. Now look at this magical creature. What do we call this? You can really see how the word един can translate into English. It often translates as une, right? Rog meaning horn, unicorn, one horn. So there we go. Единорог. Okay, so here's that meme I was talking about. This phrase goes back about 8 years. And it was kind of used to be like when people kind of want to deny what's actually happening, they try and be like, oh, well, it's not that simple. I mean, there's more to the story than that. So let's try and translate this meme. Не все так однозначно. Все правды мы не знаем, right? So they're showing this package of ham that's obviously been eaten, and they're holding it up to the cat, and the cat's like, не все не так однозначно, все правды мы не знаем, right? So the cat is saying, well, come on, it's not that straightforward. It's not that black and white. We can't know the whole truth. We can't know the whole truth. We don't know the whole truth, right? So there's not just one meaning in all of this. So this is a funny meme. You guys can Google it. It's out there all over the internet. It's everybody's saying it right now in Russian news. And again, we're not going to talk about politics. So next slide. Okay. My favorite thing here, my favorite topic, and I'm just going to check the comments because I have to keep coming out of that. Oh, good. Look, Klaus, what language are you translating that into? That is a crazy language. Is that German? Geliebedütend or something? Однозначный. See, did you hear how I don't have an exact word for it in English? We would say something like black and white. We would say something like straightforward, clear cut. So we don't have like a perfect word to express that. Zhirinovsky. If you guys don't know Zhirinovsky, I think he just died just recently, right? Like a few months ago. Wow, he is an interesting character. If you think Trump was a difficult person, you should look at some of the things that Zhirinovsky used to say. He was quite an interesting person. Good. Okay. Очень хорошо. Let's go back to prefix verbs. My favorite thing in the Russian language. Here we go. Oh, my favorite. Приставочные глаголы, я их обожаю. Russian prefixes are so fun. And seriously, you're going to expand your vocabulary so fast if you learn what these different prefixes mean. So let's go over a few of them. I'm not going to cover all of them, but I'm going to use some of these prefixes. Okay? So, соединить. Соединить. So the prefix so means with or to come together. So how do you think you would translate that? So with one, to make with one, to unite people. So, например, на моих лайвстримах мы соединяемся, чтобы учить русский. Right? We come together, we unite. Несмотря на политические взгляды, мы come together, we unite together for the sake of learning Russian. Вот. Следующий. This prefix, от, means off of, away from. So if this one meant to unite, what would this one mean? Отсоединить. And we might have to translate this with a couple of words in English. We don't have an exact word. Maybe like disunite, to break apart. For example, знаете ли вы, что Техас единственный штат в США, который имеет право отсоединиться от остальных штатов? So I just said, did you know that Texas is the only state in the United States who has the right to secede from the Union? Texans are very proud of that. Они могут отсоединить от других штатов. So they can like disunite, they can secede, they can disunite from the rest of the United States if they wanted to. Texans are always very proud of that. Хорошо. Следующий. Объединить. Объединить. So I like to think of the prefix ob as around, going around something. Okay. So imagine you're taking things from like an entire area and bringing them together. You're merging a bunch of things together. You're uniting them, you're merging them from something together. So you might use this verb to say something like, например, события 11 сентября 2001 года очень объединили американский народ. So the events of September 11th really brought the American people, all of our different political views, it brought us together, right? It kind of united us together as a country. That doesn't happen very often. Так, присоединиться, присоединяться. By the way, these are perfective and imperfective. So присоединиться, при meaning arrival or attaching to, something. So how would you translate this word? Присоединиться. So let's look at, so присоединиться means to join, and then you're going to pair it with the preposition к and dative case. And we'll look at that in context in just a minute. So real quick, I want to point out, for those of you who don't know, you can take verbs and turn them into nouns and turn them into adjectives. And one of those ways you can do it is with an anie ending or a yenie ending. So for example, this was a big thing that was, I think they had this last year. So see if you can look at this picture. Maybe you guys watched this. Друзья, воссоединение. Вос means, it literally means kind of like from up, going upward, or it can mean re. So if соединить meant unite, and vos can mean re, like rising up again, this would be reunion. So did the Friends reunion. Maybe you guys watched that. I didn't because I don't have any time. Вот, воссоединение. Oh, here's a good one. Уединить. У also means away from, leaving, going away from. So this is the word you would use for to seclude. If you wanted to seclude someone, you want to like ostracize someone, you seclude them. So what do you think this word would mean? If this one means to seclude or to like go away and be one, уединение means solitude, seclusion, solitude. Так, очень хорошо. And then we're going to create an adjective out of this. Okay, so this is technically what's called a past passive participle, and we get a word like соединенный, which is very important to note if you are from the USA. So let's look at some of these words in context. Okay, let's look. Соединенные Штаты Америки, the United States of America. Соединенное Королевство Великобритания, Северная Ирландия. So the United Kingdom. Now look at this. This hurts my brain. And please comment in the comment box if you know why the United Arab Emirates get this word and the other United ones get a different word. This is driving me crazy. So for the United Arab Emirates, we get Объединенные Арабские Эмираты. And my linguist friend said that it's maybe just because these are more archaic. These are older forms, but please write in the comments if you know why did these ones get объединенные and these two got соединенные. Вот такие вопросы. Okay? Then look at this. Присоединяйтесь к нам. So that would be like, I'm trying to think how we would say this in English. Like join up with us on, connect with us on social media, join up with us on social media. So those are just some examples. I'm going to exit out for a second, make sure I'm not missing any comments. Да, воссоединение, это очень актуально сейчас. Интересно. Unification. Oh, good. Unification. Yeah, especially when you're talking about like countries wanting to join up with somebody, you don't. Okay. Oh, look at that. Somebody, Quizmaster China is saying something about Texas, which I would trust somebody because I don't necessarily know anything about Texas. But every Texan I've ever met has always been very proud of the fact that they're the only state in the country that could отсоединить, that they could like secede if they wanted to. Okay, хорошо. Так, следующий. Let's go back. So now we're going to practice translating some of these words in context. So I want you to use your knowledge of what we just talked about and those skills about, like, even if you've never seen the word before, try and understand the root. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So as I read these out, you start thinking how you would translate this for yourself. Официально HBO Max и Discovery Plus объединились на единой платформе. We have two words here. We have two of our един root words. Объединились на единой платформе. Okay, so this is one of our root words, and this is one of our root words. So how would you translate that? So I would translate this phrase as HBO Max and Discovery Plus have officially merged onto a single platform. They have now merged onto a single platform. Did I say Disney? I meant Discovery. They have now merged onto a single platform. Good. Поскольку он был единственный ребенок, он часто чувствовал себя одиноким. So we have two root words here again. Единственный and одинокий. So since he was an only child, he often felt lonely. Next. Okay, this I just grabbed from news stories. Президент находится в Лондоне, где в понедельник присоединится к другим мировым лидерам, участвующим в похоронах королевы. Okay, so this is something happening in the news right now. What would make sense in this context? Would it mean to unite? No, it wouldn't mean, like, they're not having a reunion at the Queen's funeral. What are they doing? They're not merging. Pri means to arrive, right? So I would translate this sentence as the president is in London, where on Monday he's going to join up with other world leaders who are taking part in the funeral of the Queen. Так, хорошо. 4. Я жду того дня, когда мы снова встретимся и воссоединимся. Так, so in fact, I have a student right now who's trying to talk about how do I say excited? And I've told him you have to say я очень жду, because if you make the mistake of saying я возбужден, which if you look it up in Google, that's what it's going to tell you. And I told him, no, возбужден doesn't have the meaning that you think it has. So you want to say я жду, and then you're waiting for something. That's how you say you're excited. So this person is excited for the day, or they're waiting for the day when we will once again meet and reunite. Так. Oh, this is a good question. This is a very good question. Чем отличается уединение от одиночества? Очень интересно. So remember, going away from oneness, so seclusion, solitude. So how is solitude differs? How does it differ from loneliness? Very interesting, deep вопрос. Очень философский такой вопрос. Чем отличается уединение от одиночества? Очень хорошо. Next one. This one's fun. It has a 2 root word. So start looking at it. We have 2 roots happening in this word. Одно and then vrem. See if you can figure out how you would translate this word. Because we know that this means one and this means something about time. Рассказываем о природе Камчатки, которая одновременно и пугает, и завораживает. Interesting. How would you translate that? So one time, this means one time. We have a fancy word for this in English, which is simultaneously. So we're going to tell you about the nature of Kamchatka that simultaneously scares you, but also mesmerizes you. Maybe it's intimidating, but also fascinating. For example, it's both intimidating and fascinating. It simultaneously can scare you and also mesmerize you. Присяжные вынесли единогласный вердикт. Okay, so look at this word. We have 2 roots happening. One voice. Gloss comes from голос, and one voice. How would we translate that into English? What do the jury, присяжные, that's the jury, they have to reach a blank verdict. What kind of verdict does a jury have to reach? A unanimous verdict. A jury has to reach a unanimous verdict. So the jury announced their unanimous verdict. Так, номер 9. This is true. This is true about me. This is actually, I wrote this about myself. У нас с моими сестрами одинаковые голоса и смех. Это правда. Например, когда я звоню моей сестре, ее дети думают, что это их мама. Это мама, это своя мама. Но это я, это тетя. Потому что у нас одинаковые голоса. So my sisters and I have the exact same voice and laugh. We sound exactly the same on the phone. Это очень смешно. И последний. Oh, here we go. So here's our word. We have two roots happening. Again, we have two roots happening. 5 причин, почему необходимо окружать себя. Oh gosh, this is such a huge word. Единомышленниками. Wow, 8 syllables. So 5 reasons why you need to surround yourself with, let's take this word apart. One think. That's a hard one. We don't really have an exact word for that, like a person who one thinks with you. So we would have to say with like-minded people. With like-minded people. 5 reasons why you should surround yourself with единомышленниками. Why you should surround yourself with like-minded people. And that's everything. So I hope you guys go over. Oh, wow. Oh, I'm missing so many comments. Wow. Okay. Excited. Уединение. Works for love couple. Oh, like a couple wants уединение, maybe? Kind of thing. Oh, look at that. Look at Max Google's comment. Уединение по своей воле, а одиночество вынуждено. So you go into seclusion because you're like wanting to be alone versus одиночество just kind of happens to you, right? Соединенные is much closer than объединенные. Oh, interesting. I hope everybody is reading the comments because they're offering a lot of great insight. To gather together, merged, very good, single platform. Yeah, so what do you agree with that belief that you should surround yourself with единомышленниками? Ой, так, русский язык. 8 syllables right there. Do you agree that you should surround yourself with like-minded people? I don't agree. I think it's useful for you to hear about other people's opinions and their experience. And и так далее. Сегодня мы обсуждаем однокоренные слова. И вы опоздали, кажется, потому что я уже заканчиваю лайвстрим. Так. Okay, хорошо. Это все. So I hope you learned a whole bunch new words. If you really want to quiz yourself, go get those worksheets that I loaded onto the community tab and go through and take notes on there and practice translating sentences on your own. It's very, very good practice. I do this in all of my college classrooms to help them with vocab, and then I do quizzes on these words, and then I'll give them new words with those roots to see if they can figure it out based on context. So all of you that are learning Russian, I highly recommend to go and make sure you know all of those однокоренные слова, the same root words, and it will majorly expand your vocabulary. Ну, хорошо, это все. Как я уже сказала, если вы хотите, прошлую среду был стрим, в понедельник не было стрима, потому что интернет здесь не работал. Я извиняюсь. Так. Но в следующий понедельник будет лайвстрим. We will have a live stream next Monday, and we will do the song that I promise, если у вас нету тети. Хорошо, это все. Пишите мне лично в email, если у вас есть какие-то там мысли или вопросы. Я с удовольствием отвечу. Хорошо, спасибо вам за то, что вы пришли. Надеюсь, что увидимся в следующий понедельник, где мы будем вместе обсуждать песню из советского фильма «Ирония судьбы» или «С легким паром». Хорошо, это все. До свидания, увидимся в понедельник.